After entering into a union with an S-level alpha, I successfully attained a life where, even in my husband's absence, I have money to spend. By day, I indulge in shopping sprees at the mall, and by night, I revel in the vibrant atmosphere of bars. A blissful existence. However, I never anticipated that one day, my husband would come to retrieve me from the bar, and that I would be blacklisted from all establishments. Just as I was preparing to confront him in indignation, I pushed open the study door, only to be confronted by a wall adorned with my photographs, some clothed, others not. And there he sat in a chair holding a set of restraints. Since you enjoy swaying so much, come and sway upon my lap. 1. I, Hijiyue, am an exceedingly ordinary beta, albeit one fortunate enough to possess a striking visage. Thus, I found myself wed to the esteemed alpha, Fu Qincheng, who is adored by all the little omegas in the capital. It must be said, fortune can indeed smile upon an individual, allowing them to stumble upon great wealth even as they step outside. Initially, the prospect of a union between Fu Qincheng and myself seemed implausible. At most, I might catch a fleeting glimpse of him when my beloved younger brother visited his home. However, in this society, the attention afforded to betas is scant, rendering me often invisible. Within my own household, I am similarly disregarded, with all eyes fixated on my more delicate and charming younger brother. The family harbored all their hopes for him, wishing for his success in securing Fu Qincheng, thereby climbing aboard the grand vessel of the Fu family. Who could have anticipated that I would be the one to seize the opportunity? For, on the eve of the formal betrothal between our families, Fu Qincheng discovered that my brother had been entangled with his own kin, even harboring dreams of usurping Fu Qincheng for himself. This was nothing short of self-sabotage. Nevertheless, the engagement must proceed. 2. Thus, this monumental stroke of fortune has befallen me. As I departed the He family residence, my brother's fury was palpable, his teeth nearly grinding to dust. Yet I could not help but smile broadly. Hijiyue, do you truly believe you can revel in your good fortune for long? You are but a beta, and brother Qincheng will never harbor feelings for you. Before long, you shall be cast aside. My brother Hinyen stood at the door, his eyes rimmed with red as he glared at me. Last night, he had raged in his room, incensed by his own failure to secure the engagement with Fu Qincheng. Our parents were equally displeased. Although they were not particularly fond of me either, the overarching sentiment was that I was soon to escape this gilded cage. Oh, that may be true, but at least I have something to hold on to. You best capture Fu Zhao's heart, lest he one day find solace in another delicate little omega. Then you truly would be left wanting. I deliberately mocked him with a grin, feeling no concern whatsoever. Was I to become destitute after a divorce from Fu Qincheng? You. Hinyen's face flushed crimson with rage. Yet my spirits soared. I am leaving now. When we next meet, do remember to address me as Mrs. Fu. I slid into the Fu family's car, the driver graciously opening the door for me. It was evident that the elite had a level of service that was unparalleled. Just imagining it, I could fathom Hinyen's current emotional turmoil. As long as he was discontented, I felt elated. Upon arriving at the Fu residence, even more delightful news awaited me. Fu Qincheng was away on a business trip. I heard he had flown abroad on the very day we obtained our marriage certificate. The housekeeper, perhaps sensing the inadequacy of Fu Qincheng's actions, regarded me with a hint of remorse. Ah, he is away on business? He did not inform me. 3. Well, it is possible that the gentleman does not have his wife's contact information. Indeed, that seemed to be the case. Very well, but it is of no consequence. I am quite accustomed to this now. Please, do assist me in bringing my luggage to my room. The housekeeper, seemingly feeling quite apologetic, waved his hands dismissively and promptly transported my belongings to my quarters. Heaven knows how elated I was. Was this not the life everyone spoke of? A husband absent from home, freely spending money. Daytime shopping and nighttime revelry. Such bliss. Gazing at the black card the housekeeper had just handed me, I found myself grinning foolishly. Indeed, leaving home had ushered in a life of ease. I hoped Fu Qincheng would remain abroad for a year and a half. Even if he were to find another little omega, I could easily turn a blind eye. That very evening, I summoned my old friends to our usual bar. They were perplexed that I could venture out on my wedding night. Is it you or Fu Zong who is incapable? I was at a loss for words. Would you dare ask such a question in Fu Qincheng's presence? Of course not, hence my inquiry to you. You are moving today. Is this not your wedding night? He is not even in the country. He flew abroad the moment we received our certificate. How could I possibly celebrate a wedding night? Is it really that absurd? Could it be that Fu Zong is comforting a little lover abroad, thus leaving you to your own devices? How would I know? If I had that information, I wouldn't be here. Enough about him. Let us drink. In truth, I was far from the obedient facade I presented. I merely avoided trouble at home. Concealing my true self permitted a tranquil existence. Why not embrace it? 4. After indulging in a few drinks, I plunged into the dance floor, swaying to the rhythm of the music, inadvertently attracting a few unwelcome hands. Nowadays, alphas seem to have lowered their standards, brazenly approaching a beta devoid of any pheromones. Tonight, it felt as though there were an excess of ruffians, dampening my mood. I decided to step down from the dance floor and return to my seat. Not having fully enjoyed myself, my spirits were far from high. It appeared that I would need to voice a complaint to the bar regarding their management. Could they not ensure a pleasant atmosphere for their patrons? While I pondered this, a new message popped up on my phone. Frowning, I opened it, only to find my heart skip a beat. Fu Qingqing. What could he possibly want at this hour? Although perplexed, I accepted the message. He quickly replied with a single line. Fu Qingqing. Where are you? At home. Where else would I be? The lie slipped easily from my lips, but my body was already in motion. Why was he checking on me? After a moment of silence on his end, I assumed he was merely inquiring out of curiosity. But the next moment a photo arrived. A familiar setting with my face magnified. Damn, was that me? I scanned the bar, but could not see Fu Qingqing anywhere. Who was so eager to report my whereabouts? Before I could identify the culprit, my phone vibrated. Fu Qingqing was initiating a video call. Oh no, I leapt from my seat and dashed outside. After running for some distance, I finally found a quiet spot. Once I caught my breath, I promptly accepted the call. The moment the screen lit up, I instinctively held my breath.
Fu Qingqing, clad in abatrobe,
revealed his alluring collarbone and the skin of his chest. His expression was taut, yet he remained strikingly handsome. His voice was melodious, but the words he spoke were anything but pleasant. Dijiyue, you certainly know how to dance, and your lying skills are quite refined. Are you seeking punishment? 5. Although he was not physically present, the tone of his voice sent a shiver down my spine. More importantly, was Fu Qingqing being a tad overbearing? What did my outings have to do with him? Even though we were married, we were essentially strangers, with the only distinction being that we had crossed paths a few more times. Reflecting on this, I managed to regain some composure, the earlier tension dissipating. Oh, and so? Fu Qingqing's expression shifted dramatically, as though he were unsure of my previous statement. What did you say? I said, and so? Are you planning to fly back from abroad to drag me home? Fu Zong, you are getting on in years and may not understand the joys of youth. When you next have some free time, I shall introduce you to the fun. For now, I have matters to attend to, so I shall hang up. Before Fu Qingqing could respond, I deftly ended the call, my heart racing wildly. Uncertain whether it was due to my friend's recent remark about his overseas trip to meet a romantic interest, or perhaps some other underlying reason, I found myself confronting Fu Qingqing rather bluntly. How delightful! Tomorrow I might very well find myself unceremoniously ejected from my abode. Damn it, Dijiyue, you have truly lost your mind. However, the deed is done, and there is no turning back. Thus, I resolved to return to the bar for a while longer. Yet, I was unable to re-enter. What did you say? I've been blacklisted? The security guard blocking the entrance nodded. Indeed, just now, the boss issued the order. I gritted my teeth, instantly recalling the phone call from earlier. Damn, I was thoroughly exasperated. No wonder he had access to that video of me. Surely the boss is in league with him. Since entry was no longer an option, I had no choice but to head home. Lying on the expansive bed at the Fu residence, I stared at the ceiling above. The bed was remarkably comfortable. This was my first time sleeping here, and likely my last. Given my confrontational attitude towards Fu Qingqing today, it would not surprise me in the least if he flew back to the country tomorrow to finalize our divorce. Yet, I have managed to survive in such a twisted household for this long. My sole redeeming quality is my resilience. Perhaps I am simply weary of the turmoil. Regardless, I soon fell into a deep slumber. In my dreams, Fu Qingqing returned from abroad, tossing a divorce agreement before me and declaring, "Let us part ways. Return all the cards I bestowed upon you, intended for Mrs. Fu, who you are no longer." The scene shifted, and I saw He Nian mocking me from the sidelines, berating me for my inability to read others' expressions, destined to a life of poverty. Infuriated, I erupted in expletives. Fu Qingqing truly was a miser, to demand back gifts given. How could he, a president no less, stoop to such pettiness? No wonder he belonged to a wealthy family. I could only imagine how he exploited his employees. As I seethed in my dream, a voice both familiar and foreign pierced my consciousness. Yijiyu, you've grown quite audacious, daring to insult me? The sharp pain that followed on my cheek abruptly jolted me awake. Upon opening my eyes, I was met with an enlarged, handsome visage, strikingly attractive indeed. However, had it not been Fu Qingqing, I might have felt more elated. I shot up in bed, nearly colliding with him. Had he not dodged, we would both have sported sizable bumps on our heads. You're back? Fu Qingqing was clad in comfortable loungewear, suggesting he had just bathed, the tips of his hair still damp. He exuded a relaxed demeanor, a stark contrast to the steely aura he carried in the office. Part of this was due to my inability to detect an alpha's pheromones, thus feeling no pressure from them. You insulted me so thoroughly. If I didn't return, it would be for naught, wouldn't it? I bit my lip, on the verge of tears. Was he truly this petty? His heart must be smaller than a pinhole. Last night. I had too much to drink. Everything I said was false. Please, be magnanimous and don't hold it against me. We just got our marriage certificate last week. It would sound rather unfortunate to be divorced this week. Sigh, indeed, one must always bear the consequences of their actions. The arrogance of last night had transformed into humility today. Yijiyu, you've changed quite a bit. Fu Qingqing's words left me bewildered, as if he had once known me intimately. How could he possibly know what I was like before? Yet before I could inquire further, Fu Qingqing stood up. He was indeed an alpha that every omega in the capital aspired to marry. His height imposing enough to make me feel as though he could effortlessly lift me with one hand. Get up, it's time to eat. With that, Fu Qingqing turned and walked away, as though the events of last night had been effortlessly forgotten. Perhaps his temperament wasn't as dreadful as everyone claimed. After breakfast, he remained seated on the sofa while perusing documents. His demeanor suggested he had something to discuss with me, prompting me to approach him. Are you not going to address me properly? What was I supposed to call him? He Nian always referred to him as Qingqing Gu, but those words would never escape my lips. Husband? Our relationship hardly warranted such familiarity. Mr. Fu? His expression darkened instantly. You are my employee? Of course not. Then why call me Mr. Fu? One might think I was working from home. Your sarcasm is truly remarkable. Weren't you calling my name with such ease last night? Has your tongue suddenly faltered today? Such a sharp-tongued man. Oh, Fu Qingqing, do you have business with me? Tonight you will dine with my friends. Oh, tonight? With your friends? Fu Qingqing's demeanor suggested he was unfazed. Is there a problem? I had no issues, but did Fu Qingqing not see the predicament? Everyone was well aware that he had married a beta, and his circle was likely laughing behind his back. Why would he bring me along? No problem. Then behave properly. Understood. Initially filled with trepidation, my spirits lifted upon arriving at the private room and discovering that nobody regarded me with disdain. The person at the edge approached me first. Hello, sister-in-law. He reached out to shake my hand, only to be preempted by Fu Qingqing, who clasped my hand instead. Take a seat. Not allowing me to meet his friends was bewildering. Was I merely there to serve as a decorative piece? Still, I complied and sat down, and the atmosphere remained vibrant despite the earlier interruption. In fact, everyone appeared to be watching Fu Qingqing with a mixture of anticipation and amusement. Perhaps his demeanor discouraged any overt remarks, but those who mingled with him likely shared similar personalities. Fu Qingqing's arrogance was mirrored in his friends. Mr. Fu, I thought marriage would leave you languishing in bliss, yet you've been so elusive. The man across from me wore a playful smirk. He was the young master from the Jiang family, known for his carefree nature. Fu Qingqing placed a glass before me, pouring juice instead of alcohol. I contemplated stopping him, but a single glance silenced me. After attending to that, he finally responded to the earlier comment. Clearly, the company has been quiet lately. The competition over the Jiangbei land is fierce. In an instant, the man's expression shifted. Fu Qingqing, won't your wife object to this? I was momentarily taken aback. How had I become the topic of discussion? Even if I disapproved, it was hardly something that would concern Fu Qingqing. Yet, after that question, Everyone's gaze oddly settled upon me. It seemed they awaited my response. No, this was not my place to comment. Did they truly consider me Mrs. Fu? A beta, who could never conceive and who might be divorced at any moment. I wished to pretend I hadn't heard, believing that if I remained silent, this segment would pass without incident. However, there are indeed some individuals who cannot bear to see me flourish. Suddenly, beside me, Fu Qingqing reached out and grasped the hand I had resting on my lap. His touch was not merely a simple grasp. He pried open my tightly clenched fingers and nestled his hand within my palm, intimately aligning with my hand. He even playfully squeezed my fingers, raising an eyebrow with a smile as he inquired, "What do you think? Do you like it? This man is rather insufferable, isn't he?" I did not respond, yet my cheeks were already beginning to flush with warmth. Indeed, no one possesses thicker skin than Fu Qingqing. Fortunately, the others seemed uninterested in awaiting my reply, perhaps fearing that their teasing might cross a line and provoke my ire. All right, today is not about you two showing off your affection. Let us hurry up and eat. Exactly, having a wife is such an accomplishment. I honestly thought old Fu would be the last one among us to remain single, yet he ended up being the first to marry, and to such a beautiful wife at that. Indeed, it's quite the stroke of luck for Fu. As I listened to their playful jests, I felt my face grow even warmer, wishing I could simply vanish beneath the table. I glanced down to see that Fu Qingqing had yet to release my hand. In a flurry, I extricated my hand from his grip and shot him a glare. However, he displayed no signs of anger. In fact, he appeared to be in high spirits as he served me some dishes. This restaurant's cuisine aligns perfectly with your palate. Do give it a try. Though I was still irked by the earlier incident, the allure of delectable food was simply irresistible. I picked up my chopsticks and took a bite. To my surprise, the flavors were indeed exquisite. Thus, as I indulged in the delightful meal, I swiftly forgot the unpleasantness of earlier, neglecting to inquire how Fu Qingqing had discerned my culinary preferences. By the end of the meal, I was thoroughly satisfied. Yet, the true purpose of Fu Qingqing bringing me here that evening remained elusive until I returned home. After all, aside from our initial greetings, the rest of the evening revolved around their conversations. As the night progressed, the group resumed drinking. I had contemplated discreetly partaking in a couple of drinks, but unfortunately, Fu Qingqing caught me in the act. He promptly confiscated my glass and requested the waiter to bring me a bottle of Wangzai milk. After inserting a straw, he thoughtfully placed it in my hand. "Drink this." I glared at Fu Qingqing, my hand inching toward his side, intending to pinch him. However, the moment my fingers brushed against his waist, he captured my hand with his. Fu Qingqing had imbibed quite a bit himself, though it did not show on his face. There was a hint of inebriation in his demeanor. He leaned back in his chair, tilting his head to gaze at me, his eyes slightly narrowed as if observing a child throwing a tantrum. "Do you not know that a man's waist is off-limits?" I was acutely aware of the implications behind his words, yet he was Fu Qingqing, a man who seemed to harbor no ulterior motives toward me. How hypocritical. Only the officials can set fire while forbidding the commoners from lighting their lamps. Fu Qingqing merely chuckled at my retort and continued drinking with others. Ultimately, the table was left with a number of intoxicated souls, while I might have been the sole sober individual present. However, it was not my place to assist the inebriated into their vehicles, given that they were all scions of affluent families, accustomed to having chauffeurs. A group of unsteady individuals leaned on one another as they made their way to the exit. Fu Qingqing stood firm, though he appeared to be slightly affected, his brow furrowed in a rare display of vulnerability. I approached him. "Are you all right?" Fu Qingqing seemed to take a moment to respond, tilting his head to look at me before breaking into a smile. "If I were to say I wasn't well, would you help me?" I measured the height difference between us. Although betas are generally more robust than omegas, there is no contesting an alpha's superiority. Before I could utter a word, Fu Qingqing preemptively spoke. "I was merely jesting. I'm not inebriated." I quietly withdrew my hand, a tinge of bitterness settling in my throat. Yet, in the next moment, Fu Qingqing grasped my hand once more. Without turning his gaze, he accurately captured my hand, adding, "But let us hold hands. It's crowded, and I wouldn't want you to get lost." When the chauffeur arrived, I ushered Fu Qingqing into the car before taking my seat to depart. Just as the door was about to close, a figure suddenly appeared before us. It was one of the men from dinner, clearly intoxicated, the scent of alcohol reeking from him. I instinctively recoiled. "Old Fu, You've truly married someone you adore. Haven to you? Are you overjoyed? That plot of land should be mine. Someone I adore? Me? Before the other could respond, Fu Qincheng, who had been resting his eyes, suddenly pushed the man away, effortlessly shoving him out of the car and closing the door without hesitation. The motion was fluid and decisive. Had he not still reeked of alcohol, I would have believed him to be entirely sober. After completing this swift action, Fu Qincheng instructed the driver to proceed. I cautiously shifted in my seat, feeling a degree of awkwardness in the proximity between us. He was seated so close that our thighs brushed against one another, and I could feel the firmness of his muscular legs beneath his suit pants. His pheromones were quite overwhelming. Oh, but I'm a beta. I can't detect them. For instance, I was completely oblivious to Fu Qincheng's scent, though others claim it to be quite pleasant. I was uncertain what it might be. A moment of silence enveloped the vehicle. Had I misspoken? I can smell it. It unsettles me. Ah, I see. Indeed, similar alphas can influence one another with their pheromones. But does an alpha of Fu Qincheng's caliber also feel such effects?
Ah, understood.
I'll be more mindful in the future. Are you feeling unwell? Fu Qincheng leaned back against the chair, his eyes closed, appearing to rest or perhaps recalibrating his state. I'm fine, he was inebriated. Don't take his words to heart. I hesitated briefly before realizing he referred to the man's comment about liking me. I had never intended to believe it. I understand. How could you possibly be fond of a beta? But rest assured, since we are married, I shall fulfill my role as Mrs. Fu impeccably. If you happen to encounter an omega you truly like in the future, just compensate me, and I will gracefully exit your life. Though my words flowed lightly, I alone understood the bittersweet pang in my heart and the dryness in my throat. I turned my head away, unwilling to meet Fu Qincheng's gaze. His myriad gestures throughout the day had made me feel as if someone truly cared for me. Yet, in reflection, it seemed that all had merely been a figment of my imagination. I should not have harbored such expectations. This situation was sufficient. Suddenly, the person beside me reached over and grasped my chin, forcefully redirecting my face back toward him. I realized then that the distance between Fu Qincheng and myself had become dangerously close. At this proximity, it felt as though he could lean in to kiss me at any moment. I turned my head in an attempt to evade him, but his grip was firm, and even as my jaw ached from his hold, he did not relent. What are you doing? Fu Qincheng's lashes fluttered, the car's interior dimly lit, preventing me from deciphering the emotions swirling in his gaze. This left me feeling uneasy, as if I were ensnared in a passive situation. I did not appreciate this feeling. Since you said you would take the initiative to leave, then. Fu Qincheng gently brushed his fingers across the corner of my eye. Why are you crying? Dijiwe? Are you feeling sorrowful? My eyes instantly reddened. He could see right through me. Yet, he wouldn't voice it outright nor address it directly. Instead, he watched me struggle, compelling me to voice my own feelings. This man was utterly insufferable. No, you don't like me and I don't like you. How could I possibly be sad? A flicker of displeasure flashed in Fu Qincheng's eyes, but he quickly subdued it, a sly smile curving at his lips. You don't like me?
Fu Qincheng kissed me.
Though it was merely a soft, fleeting kiss, it rendered my mind utterly incapacitated. Even after returning home, climbing upstairs and lying down on my bed, I remained in a daze. How could he have kissed me? Why did he kiss me? Did he have feelings for me? My fingers brushed against my lips. Before I could conjure any rationale, the door to my room was suddenly pushed open. I stared blankly as Fu Qincheng, clad in loungewear, approached me looking down from a height. He had already bathed, his body enveloped in the scent of the same shower gel. What are you lying there for? Do you prefer sleeping in such a position at night? I was still somewhat dazed. What are you doing here? Fu Qincheng chuckled lightly. Don't you know? There's only this one room. Where else would I sleep? Only one room? I sat up abruptly. How could there be only one room? Although I had initially wondered if he was sleeping in the master bedroom, given the spaciousness of the room, I had naturally assumed it was a guest room since I found no of his belongings there. After all, in such a large villa, even a guest room should be adequately sized. Now, I was being told that in this vast villa, there was but a single room. Well, not exactly. This house was only recently moved into, and I didn't live here before. That explained it. No wonder I hadn't seen any of Fu Qincheng's possessions in the room, only a few scattered articles of clothing, which I had mistakenly thought were prepared for me. Then can't you ask the maid to prepare another room for you? Must he insist on sleeping in the same room? I couldn't believe there weren't any spare rooms in the villa. Fu Qingcheng merely cast me a casual glance before walking over to the other side of the bed, pulling back the covers and lying down. If you truly wish to disturb the maid and wake her up to prepare a room for me, then by all means, go ahead. I felt quite embarrassed. After all, it was rather late, and everyone was resting. Tijiwe. If I recall correctly, we are married. Ah, and furthermore, this isn't merely a marriage of convenience, is it? There are no stipulations regarding not sharing the same room post-wedding. Are there? No. Then why are you avoiding me? I bit my lip. Did he not know? Never mind. It was too late for me to articulate anything. It was just one night, and by morning, I would have the maid prepare him a new room, or I could relinquish this room to him. I could easily find another room to stay in. I'm not trying to avoid you. You should rest, I'll go take a shower. Okay. Though my mind insisted there was nothing to fret about, I couldn't help but slow my pace in the shower. Ideally, by the time I emerged, Fu Qingcheng would already be asleep. As fate would have it, when I exited, he was indeed fast asleep. It seemed he had a long day, as he was already in a deep slumber. I released a sigh of relief. Stealthily, I tiptoed to the other side, pulled back the covers, and lay down, making an effort to keep my distance from him. Who would have thought? Just as I settled in, Fu Qingcheng turned over and pulled me into his embrace. In that moment, I froze. Was he truly asleep or not? I tentatively called out his name a few times, but alas, he did not respond. So, he was asleep? Was this act of pulling me into his arms merely unconscious? Well, I suppose I could accept that. An alpha's embrace was undeniably warm, offering a sense of security, exactly what I needed. Finding a comfortable position, I drifted off to sleep, utterly unaware that once my eyes closed, someone had opened theirs, a smile dancing in their gaze. When I woke the next morning, Fu Qingcheng was already up. I didn't find him downstairs, and upon inquiring with the maid, I learned he had already gone to work. Ah, how he truly relished his job. Ma'am, could you prepare a room for me? I planned to move to another room to sleep. The maid, caught off guard by my request, wore a rather perplexed expression. After a moment, she replied, but there are no beds in the other rooms. When we moved in, we only bought one bed and a bed for the maid. The other rooms aren't ready yet. I was puzzled but felt this could very well be true. After all, the house appeared quite new, with little sign of prior habitation. However, it seemed illogical not to have purchased beds after staying for so many days. Then you should go buy a bed this afternoon. Just let me know the cost, and I'll reimburse you. All right. Seeing the maid agree, I felt reassured. However, what I did not anticipate was that by evening, I still had not seen my bed. Was I to sleep on the sofa tonight? Do you really not want to share a room with me? Fu Qingcheng leaned against the bedside table, exuding an air of languid relaxation. I couldn't help but steal a few more glances at him. Indeed, beauty could be quite distracting. What I intended to say transformed into something entirely different. Actually, it's not that. I just thought you might not like it, so it would be better if we slept separately. I don't dislike it. Huh? I looked at Fu Qingcheng in confusion. His eyes held a serious glint. I said I don't mind sharing a bed with you, so put away your suspicions. If you have any questions in the future, just ask me directly. Fu Qingcheng's words, though not particularly gentle, bore an authenticity that resonated. I stood there, letting out a silent sigh. Had I truly overthought things? Or had my excessive contemplation led me to misinterpret Fu Qingcheng's intentions? I recalled his friend's attitudes towards me at the gathering last night. Could it be that Fu Qingcheng genuinely liked me? But I quickly dismissed that notion. How could he possibly harbor feelings for me? An alpha could not possibly be attracted to a beta. Furthermore, in such a prestigious family, had it not been for He Nian feeling that Fu Qingcheng was too indifferent towards her, leading her to seek out Fu Qingcheng's brother, this marriage would never have come to pass for me. I mentally repeated this assertion several times, reminding myself not to entertain overly optimistic thoughts. This lifestyle was quite satisfactory. Thus, I began my cohabitation with Fu Qingcheng. However, the closest we came each night was him unconsciously pulling me into his embrace while we slept. The next morning, when I awoke, Fu Qingcheng was already gone from my bedside, as if everything that had transpired during the night had been but a figment of my imagination. Nevertheless, this existence was quite agreeable. Though I lacked love, I was blessed with ample wealth. Some individuals have an insatiable penchant for seeking out discord when others are reveling in joy. When the butler informed me that He Nian had come to see me, My immediate reaction was that he had arrived to flaunt his happiness or perhaps to mock my misfortune. However, with his presence unavoidable, I decided to grant him entry. "What brings you here?" I inquired. It had been some time since our last encounter, and Hinyen had only grown more attractive, embodying the very features that many alphas found appealing, complemented by a pure and fragrant pheromone. He had always been a magnet for admirers within our circle. "I came to see how my dear brother has been faring." "Quite pitiful, isn't it? Married to a husband who does not cherish you, confined to the home, guarding an empty house. Perhaps you would have been better off marrying a beta," Hinyen proclaimed, his tone dripping with arrogance. Ordinarily, I would refrain from engaging in such banter, but today, I found myself unwilling to endure it any longer. "What concern is it of yours? Do you find pleasure in being caught in bed with someone else? Your parents have released you so quickly. It seems they still hold you dear," I retorted. Indeed, when Hinyen's indiscretions were revealed, the spectacle was quite disheartening, with many witnesses to his nude form sprawled in Fu Zhao's embrace. The overwhelming scent of pheromones had rendered many present quite envious. In that moment, I was rather grateful that I was immune to the pheromonal influence. Subsequently, this scandal became common knowledge within our social circles. Hinyen had refrained from venturing outside for a considerable period, but now he seemed emboldened. Clearly, he possessed an impressive audacity. As I broached the subject, I noticed his expression shifted. "Do you truly believe that Qinshan brother has genuine feelings for you? He is merely enraged that I am with his brother. Hence he wed you out of spite. Just wait. It won't be long before he divorces you." Times, I find myself perplexed by the source of Hinyen's unwarranted confidence. I fail to perceive any semblance of affection from Fu Qincheng towards him, as their encounters are often marked by an icy demeanor. "You certainly have a thick skin," I remarked. Upon hearing my insult, Hinyen's demeanor darkened, and he stood to strike me. If I were to allow myself to be struck at this juncture, it would truly be a disgrace. Thus, I swiftly seized his raised hand, preparing to retaliate. Just then, at that critical moment, Fu Qincheng returned. He stood at the doorway, his expression far from amiable. "Go ahead. Try striking her," he challenged. Hinyen's face lit up with triumph at Fu Qincheng's words. "You see? I told you. Qinshan brother favors me." "Ah! How dare you hit me?" I delivered a sharp slap. Did he think I would heed Fu Qincheng's words? How absurd. After the act, I shot a defiant smile in Fu Qincheng's direction. "I did hit him. What of it? Are you going to defend him and divorce me?" Fu Qincheng and I locked eyes for what felt like an eternity, causing my gaze to blur. Finally, he approached, standing before me, holding my hand to examine my palm. "Did that strike hurt? Didn't you think to use an object? Perhaps the baseball bat nearby?" "Fool," he remarked. Fu Qincheng's words left me momentarily stunned, and even Hinyen was taken aback. If the situation were more suitable, I might have wanted to shove an egg in his mouth. "What do you mean?" I attempted to withdraw my hand from his grasp, but he held on tightly, as if I were the one who had just been struck. His brow furrowed. "What do you mean? Do you wish to see me defend him?" Fu Qincheng raised his gaze to me, his eyes filled with an inscrutable depth that I found difficult to decipher or perhaps chose not to fathom. "Qinshan brother. Don't call me that. I have no other brother. What is your purpose here?" Hinyen, having been chastised, was on the verge of tears, as if he might burst into sobs at any moment. My brother had quite the talent for feigning distress, and he did so with remarkable authenticity. I came to visit my brother, but he likely does not appreciate my presence." Before I could utter a word, he resorted to violence. "I do not understand why he harbors such animosity towards me." "Oh, so you know he dislikes you yet still come to provoke him? Was that your intent?" "Yes." No, that's not what I meant." Fu Qincheng lost interest in continuing this exchange and waved his hand dismissively. The butler, ever perceptive, approached. "Remove him from my sight. From now on, he is not to be admitted without my permission." "Understood?" "Yes, sir." Though Hinyen was reluctant, he had no choice but to comply and was escorted away. Once the living room fell silent, I seized the opportunity to extricate my hand from Fu Qincheng's grasp. What was the purpose of holding my hand anyway? It was quite peculiar. Ever since our marriage began, everything has felt rather odd, particularly Fu Qincheng's demeanor towards me. I recalled that he had never been this amiable before. He had always greeted me with a frosty indifference. Had his disposition truly changed? "I assumed you would come to his aid," Fu Qincheng said as he sat beside me. "Why would you think that?" I pouted in dissatisfaction, the reason being rather evident. Weren't you once fond of him? Even after he cuckolded you for his brother, you should not have moved on so swiftly. I understand that you married me to provoke him, but it seems he has recognized your worth. Are you preparing to? DGU, why don't you consider writing a novel? Huh? I find your talent for fabrication quite remarkable. Who told you that I held any affection for your brother? I was taken aback by Fu Qingqing's response. My intended retort was abruptly silenced, leaving me momentarily speechless. Wasn't that the case? But you once. Did I ever possess any particular fondness for him? Well, it appeared that indeed I could not recall any such inclination. But many alphas are drawn to him. Fu Qingqing seemed agitated, his words tinged with irritation as if he were speaking through clenched teeth. Just because they like him does not mean I must. I prefer a beta whose pheromone scent I cannot even detect. Is that a problem? I could not comprehend why Fu Qingqing's emotions had surged so dramatically, yet reason dictated that I should calm him down. Otherwise, I might find myself in a precarious situation. So, do you have feelings for me? Fu Qingqing regarded me with a look of exasperation, releasing a long sigh. I ought not to have had such high hopes for you. With that, he ascended the stairs. Huh? Why did he leave without clarifying anything? Before I could gather my thoughts, the butler returned from outside, noticing me still seated. He inquired about the recent events. Given my confusion, I thought it best to involve someone else in the contemplation. After recounting the incident, the butler wore an expression laden with significance. Have you considered that the sir may have been fond of you for quite some time? Perhaps you have just failed to notice it. I have heard that he had an important meeting today, yet upon learning that your brother sought you out, he rushed back immediately. If, as you suggest, he harbors no feelings for you, he would not have acted in such a manner. I lowered my gaze, my mind in disarray. In matters of affection, individuals tend to be exceedingly sensitive. It is not that I am unaware of his unique feelings towards me. Rather, it is an instinctual belief that, as an ordinary beta, he could never harbor genuine affection for someone like me. I am acutely aware of the ridicule he faces from our social circle regarding our marriage, which only reinforces my doubts about his feelings. How could he possibly be drawn to me? I understand now. I know what I must do. I ascended the stairs, pushing open the door to my room, greeted only by the sound of running water from the bathroom. He was taking a shower. My mind swirled with myriad thoughts, and eventually, I slipped beneath the covers. Matters of the heart are truly vexing, bringing both joy and worry in equal measure. As I pondered, I began to feel drowsy. However, when I noticed someone lying down beside me, my senses sharpened instantly. I awaited Fu Qingqing to embrace me as he usually did, but to my dismay, he remained motionless. Could he genuinely be upset? Yet he remained as silent as a gourd, leaving me perplexed. Why could he not simply express his feelings? We are married. After all, since he did not embrace me, I quietly shifted backward, nestling myself into his arms. Groping in the dark, I placed his hand upon my waist. What are you doing? Trying to soothe you. Your method of comforting me, He-ji-you, is to present yourself to my embrace? Are you the one comforting me, or am I comforting you? Well, that was the only way I could think of to console him. Fu Qingqing, I acknowledge my mistake, but you must understand, I have never been loved before. Is it not natural to be somewhat dull when it comes to matters of love? Moreover, you have never made your affections for me apparent. Still making excuses. Fu Qingqing pinched my cheek, causing a sharp sting, yet I bore it. If it meant I could placate him, a little discomfort was a small price to pay. Do you believe I have a special fondness for Hinyen? How is it that you do not perceive the warmth in my attitude towards you? Is there? He-ji-you, do you not realize that every gift I present to you when you visit my home is meticulously selected? In contrast, the gifts for Hinyen are hastily arranged. Ah, I truly had no idea. And yet, it seems that every time you see me, you act as if you have encountered a ghost, terrified I might consume you. You are quite fearsome, and you are surrounded by so many admirers. Should I draw too close, your suitors would surely scold me.
Fu Qingqing chuckled softly.
Regardless, you always seem to find an excuse not to like me, which is why you treated me with such disdain from the start. All right, I understand. There's no need to be so blunt about it. After all, we are all intelligent beings who understand the truth in our hearts. No, how could that be? You were aloof from the very beginning. That was because you were avoiding me. Fine, I admit it was my fault. Is that sufficient? He-ji-you, from the onset, my intended partner has always been you, not your brother. Oh, I see. Suddenly, his hand grasped mine beneath the covers, pulling me closer. Whether or not you are an omega is of no consequence. In fact, I am relieved you 1T suffer during your sensitive period. Then you 1T have any children. That is of no importance. Having you is enough. A scene from many years ago, when I first met Fu Qingqing, surged to the forefront of my mind. Perhaps the signs of infatuation had long been present. Yet, amidst the daily affirmations of his bond with He Nian, I gradually convinced myself that he belonged to her. Such thoughts were inappropriate. In hindsight, I realized that the avoidance over the years only suppressed the fluttering of my heart. Only I knew how exhilarated I felt when the prospect of marriage was thrust upon me.
Fu Qingkeng.
Yes, I think I might have developed feelings for you. In the future, you should say love. End of text. Extra 1. Fu Qingqing's possessiveness is formidable to a terrifying degree. Ever since he caught me at the bar, he has become almost obsessive. Regardless of the occasion, he insists on messaging me whenever he is out, and upon discovering I am not at home, he rushes back to find me. It is incredibly vexing. Although he apprehends me each time, I refuse to remain passive. When trouble arises, I will face it head-on. If he forbids me from going out, I will insist on doing so. After all, he occasionally travels abroad for work. Even if he discovers my escapades, it would be of no consequence. Most of the time, Fu Qingqing is left with no recourse. Do you truly enjoy going to bars? It's not that I particularly enjoy it, but you know I do not have a job, and being cooped up at home all day is stifling. If you don't allow me to go out, are you planning to suffocate me? Fu Qingqing nearly laughed in exasperation. I only forbid you from going to bars. When have I ever restricted your outings? Yijiu, it seems you are simply asking for a beating. Look at you. Not long ago, you called me your little treasure, and now you claim I deserve punishment. Truly, men are the most fickle creatures. As I spoke, I shook my head with a sigh. Fu Qingqing, however, remained unfazed, seated in his chair, watching my performance. Before he could respond, I lost interest in the conversation. Yijiu, if you are truly bored, come be my assistant. Whenever I travel for work, you can accompany me everywhere. Let's see if you still feel stifled. Realizing that Fu Qingqing's suggestion might become a reality, I quickly surrendered.
Yield.
I will not go anymore. Just please do not make me your assistant. Following you on business trips daily would surely lead to my demise. Fu Qingqing chuckled softly. Thus, the matter seemed to pass. However, perhaps it was only my perception, for as I prepared to sneak out once more, I discovered I had been blacklisted from all the bars. Regardless of whether they were large or small establishments, some even had my picture posted outside their doors. The meaning was unmistakable. Anyone could enter except for me. Seeing this, my anger flared. I stormed into Fu Qingqing's study, a place I seldom visited, fearing that I might inadvertently misplace an important document. However, today was urgent. I needed to resolve this issue immediately. Pushing open the door, I intended to confront Fu Qingqing, but before I could unleash my fury, he startled me instead. His study was expansive, filled not only with various office supplies but also with my photographs. Every corner was adorned with images of me, sending chills down my spine. Some even depicted me in disarray. What was he planning? You. Why do you have so many photos of me? Fu Qingqing sat in his chair, holding a restraint, which the butler had once given me during a sensitive period. I never imagined it would end up in his possession. He patted the restraint, slowly rising and walking towards me. Were you at the bar again? My dear, you truly are incorrigible. If I hadn't prepared beforehand, you would have likely blended in there today. And why shouldn't I go? I am not there to flirt with men. If you were, do you think you could still stand here and speak to me? I retreated, attempting to exit the study. But alas, Fu Qingqing had already anticipated my intentions, swiftly enveloping me in his arms. I had promised to teach you a lesson. Let us commence this evening in the study.
Fu Qingkeng.
You pervert. Keep your voice down. We wouldn't want you to be unable to call out later. You scoundrel. The end of the narrative. Thank you for listening. We shall meet again in the next tale.